Am I the a-hole for requiring my son and his wife sign a contract before I give the stepchildren college money? I, 56 male, have 3 children. Sam, 32 male, Eve, 30 female, and Amy, 28 female. Sam and Eve are married with children, and my wife and I started college funds for them that we put money in at least twice a year. Sam married a woman, Jane, 36 female, who already had 2 children from a previous relationship, and we have accepted them as part of the family once they proved that they were serious. My wife and I invite them over, give them presents, attend after-school activities, occasionally babysit, and don't mind that they call us grandpa and grandma. During our first in-person family get-together since COVID, my wife and our children and their children came over along with my sister-in-law and her family. It was especially nice because this was the first time that we were meeting sister-in-law's first grandchild, a sweet baby girl who's 8 months old. The topic of saving up for college came up, and my wife casually mentioned about how we started up college funds for all 3 grandchildren. Sam's wife overheard and walked in laughing to say, "You mean 5. Not wanting to cause any future problems through miscommunication, I corrected and explained things to Jane. She didn't seem upset at the time, but after everyone had left, Sam called and said how upset he and Jane were that we didn't start up funds for Sam's stepchildren. I told him that it was our money, and we could do whatever we wanted with it, and to think of it as a way to focus any money that they would have put towards his biological child to just give to the stepchildren. I thought that my reasoning was logical, and thought that my son agreed when he stopped talking about it. Again, we were called about the lack of funding for the stepchildren, and Jane wanted to know why we weren't treating them equally. I calmly explained that in almost every other way, we do treat the kids like our other grandchildren, but their ties to us are only there through marriage. And if Sam and Jane were to divorce, then they may not be our grandchildren anymore. Jane was really hurt by this, and asked me if that meant that her kids wouldn't inherit anything once my wife and I were gone. I felt very offended because that was a personal question, but answered yes. If Jane and Sam were still married by the time we died, her kids would get something. But if she wanted it to be an equal share and us to start a college fund for the first 2 kids, then she and Sam would need to sign an agreement stating that they would never divorce. Jane got offended, and I asked her why she would be if she truly loves my son and never intends to divorce him. My other children agree that signing an agreement wouldn't be a big deal, but Sam is upset too. Am I the a-hole? Edited to add, because I know that this might come up. I am aware that blood ties aren't always what makes people family, and as far as I know, Sam hasn't legally adopted Jane's first 2 children. Also, when the college funds were mentioned, we were out of earshot from all the children, so the only way Jane's kids would find out is if an adult tells them. Edited to add too. 1, because I keep seeing this. No, this agreement wouldn't be to keep them from getting a divorce. That's ridiculous. It would be in regards to both my son and Jane paying back any of the college fund money that the stepkids use. 2, yes, my wife and I are more well-off than Jane's parents. So if they are starting a college fund, I don't expect it to be as much as we could contribute. 3, no, I don't know about the stepkids' biological paternal side, as they live elsewhere, and my wife and I have no reason to be in communication with them. I can only ever think of one time that I've actually seen them in person. Edited to add 3, another one because I'm still getting the same thing, so I'll explain my reasoning a bit more. No matter what happens with my children's marriages, their children will always be my grandchildren from both a legal and biological standpoint. The same can't be said for Jane's kids, because what happens if she and my son divorce and each of them remarry? Am I supposed to still give her first 2 children an equal amount as everyone else? Also, what if Sam marries another woman with kids, and I'm expected to be just as financially responsible for them as the others? Where does it end? Also, that means that there will be less money all around, and I don't want to do that. Now for the top comments. Not a day-haul, assuming that the contract doesn't prevent them from divorcing. Please be clear in your language when talking about contracts. However, I would change the phrasing of the contract to indicate enforceable conditions. Answering as someone who has read a lot of family law cases with a lot of drama worse than this. 1. If she really doesn't have any plans to divorce your son anyway, why can't she sign a contract? Because she wants the privileges with no strings attached. 2. Primarily, it is the parents' responsibility to provide support for their stepchildren, not your responsibility as a grandparent. It is easy for them to use guilt and make you give money when it doesn't involve any sacrifice on their part. Why can't your son and his wife provide for the education for the stepchildren? Why can't your son give up his inheritance if the college fund is so important? 3. It is your son's decision to accept them as stepchildren, and you are merely respecting and agreeing with this decision. Your relation to them is a mere side effect, not your direct, independent, personal decision. 4. Legally, his stepchildren can still indirectly inherit through him anyway. 5. Legally, the stepchildren can claim support from their biological dad, depending on the country's law and the facts surrounding the situation. 6. Your money, your decision. You are already treating/seeing your son's stepchildren as equal to your biological children, but it doesn't mean you have to give them a lot of money conditionally. Your relation to them will be severed the moment your son and his wife divorce. 7. My spidey senses tell me that his wife has a sense of entitlement. Also, please look into trust administrators for your bio-grandkids' money. There have been enough posts here to anticipate Sam and Jane pressuring Sam's bio-kids to share their money with the step-kids. Damn straight. You know that will happen already. I could see the piece of work daughter-in-law pressuring Sam's siblings to pool their kids' money together with theirs for the step-kids. Not today, Hall. My aunts and uncles went through a number of marriages when I was a kid, often with stepchildren. Despite how much the then-married couples claimed their love was forever, the majority of those marriages didn't last until the kids reached adulthood, much less finished college. When it comes to people, I'm only connected to via someone else's marriage. I'm aware that I may not be connected to them for long. I agree. The son and wife have every right to feel the way they do, but this grandparent also has every right to save/use their money in what they feel is the best thing. I wouldn't expect my step-parents or their parents to save money for me, even though I came into their life when I was young. Yes, they treat me like their other grandchildren, but I know that if my parents/step-parents were to divorce, it'd cause a shift in our relationship with the extended family. I don't think Opie's the a-hole. I don't really see how it's the grandparents' responsibility to save college money for the grandkids. It should be the parents, so it's a nice thing you're doing. They should be grateful. This Jane seems very entitled, and you should stand your ground because divorces are too likely to happen. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my brother my stepdad's not my dad? My dad was in my life until he died when I, male 16, was 7. My mom was already married to my stepdad AJ by then, and my brother was barely 1 year old. I never considered AJ anything than just my brother's dad. For a long time, my mom kept trying to make me call him dad because my brother copied everything I do, and he started calling his dad AJ too. But he grew out of that and just calls him dad now. I can tell AJ don't like that we don't have that kind of relationship and been in family therapy before. The therapist basically told them to give me my space and I shouldn't be pressured. So they dropped the sessions. Lol. I don't know why out of the blue my brother randomly asked me a few days ago, how come I always called dad AJ? And I told him because AJ is not my real dad. He never asked this before, so it caught me by surprise. My brother told me I'm lying. How could he not be my dad? And I told him my real dad died when I was little, so that's how AJ isn't my dad. But then he asked if that means we're not brothers. And I told him we are because we have the same mom. He just had a million questions about my dad after that, so I told him what I remember. But my mom got mad at me for telling him that AJ is not my real dad, and making it seem like I don't consider him family, and that I just confused my brother about our family. I don't know why, but now AJ is ignoring me when I'm in the room, and it gets awkward when my brother asks more questions about my dad in front of them. Was I Nahal for telling him the truth? Not today, Hal. Your mom shouldn't hide the truth about your real dad. Just disrespectful to his life. Your brother will understand and love you all the same. Yeah, my brother hasn't acted different. Just ask more random questions about him sometimes. He asked, you answered. Your mom and AJ should have known that would happen someday. It's not a bad thing that he knows that he's asking questions so that it will all make sense to him. Not today, Hal. Not today, Hal. Your mom is trying to force a relationship. You're right. AJ isn't your dad, and you don't have to call him such. It sounds like you have a cordial relationship. Your mom is just mad she has to do the labor facilitating a blended family, which is her job, so tough luck to her. You're 16, not 6 months. You get to decide who you feel familial towards. And trying to erase Opie's dad's memory. That is so unbelievably crappy. Not an a-hole completely. Your brother is still young and doesn't understand how having a step-family works yet. So in the words of r/, I will give you 5 over 5 buttholes for telling him something that most likely will change his outlook on life forever. Let me explain why you aren't the a-hole and shouldn't feel like one. 1. Your brother was going to learn anyway. 2. You don't feel comfortable calling AJ your dad because he technically isn't, and you don't have that bond with him. Your mom needs to understand that. 3. AJ ignoring you means that he's hurt, but more butthurt that you aren't doing things the way he wants. Your younger brother did nothing wrong and was just curious, and you answered his question. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for insulting my brother as a parent after his repeated suggestions about leaving my wife? Over a year and a half ago, my wife was in a serious car accident that's changed our lives. She suffered serious injuries and she almost didn't make it. By some miracle, she pulled through, but now she's permanently paralyzed from the waist down. We had a 5-month-old baby girl, and I'm not going to lie, it was a major challenge for us both settling to our new lives and managing parenthood. I was the one doing most of the childcare while my wife recovered. My family has been very supportive and lending a helping hand every now and then. My brother, not so much, but then again, we're not that close. Over the past year when we'd talk, he'd say things like, "Man, I don't know how you have the patience for her anymore. Just leave already." Or make comments about my wife being kind of selfish for not at least suggesting I be allowed to see other people given that we won't be intimate anymore. Completely untrue, but not really his business. My family and myself have berated him for talking that way, and I've told him to watch what he says. None of this was ever said in front of my wife, but it still bothered me. Recently, I was talking with my parents and brother on Zoom. My daughter has been having trouble sleeping, so I've been quite tired. My brother again ran his mouth. He doesn't understand why I'm still bothering with her when she's no longer doing me any good, and offered to give me his divorce attorney's information because I obviously didn't sign up to be my wife's babysitter on top of parenting. This irked me because 1, my wife has been perfectly capable of taking care of herself. Obviously, she still needs assistance sometimes, and I help her. And 2, I still love my wife very much, and not going to leave her because it's no longer beneficial, as it puts it. And I told him as such. I also brought up that, unlike him, I don't dip out when there's trouble and shirk my responsibilities. That upset him too, so he ended a call. I brought this up because my brother divorced his wife, and since then he only sees my niece, his daughter, whenever he feels like it, which is rare. My parents have scolded me for stooping to his level. My brother also says I'm a prick when he's just thinking about my best interest, and that's no reason to drag him. I'll admit I was pretty pissed off in the moment. So maybe I was an a-hole? Now for the comments. Not an a-hole. Your brother needs to mind his own business, and I'm shocked that your parents are scolding you. Good luck to you and your wife with everything. You sound like a good husband. I think because everyone in my family is used to my brother and his unfiltered opinions, and it's just him being his usual self. Well, sounds like his usual self is an a-hole. It's good that you stood up to him. Someone clearly needed to. It almost sounds like your brother has the opinion your wife can't be intimate with you, whether it's true or not, and so she's not worth the time anymore? This just screams what kind of person he is, to be honest. Also, doesn't marriage vows usually say something about in sickness and in health? So when he callously said, "You didn't sign up for this," he's not even right anyway. Not a a-hole. And thank you for taking your marriage and wife seriously. Many people would unfortunately have the opinion your brother does, and those people are a-holes. That's been a major factor in why he thinks I should leave her or feels I should at least be allowed to have fun on the side. I don't imagine ever leaving my wife, much less over something like this. Was it hard? Yes. Did I have my own moments where I felt completely broken down because it was all too overwhelming? Absolutely. But we've made it out stronger. and it just felt like he was disrespecting how far we've come by acting like she's been nothing but a chore. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not leaving work to bring my pregnant wife a change of shoes? My 30-male wife, Charlotte, 38 female, is a very senior corporate lawyer and works in the city. She's mostly been working from home due to events, but recently they've started to return to the office. Charlotte is also 5 months pregnant. Charlotte wears heels pretty much everywhere that isn't home or the gym. I always suggest she take a spare pair of flats, but she always refuses. She says it's a matter of pride. She's gotten to a point in the pregnancy where her feet are starting to swell, so it's becoming increasingly uncomfortable wearing her shoes. However, she has still refused to take flats with her. I work in construction, and my current site is about an hour away from Charlotte's office. I got a call from her yesterday. She said that her feet were in agony, and she didn't think she would be able to walk to the train station and go on the train home in her heels. She wanted me to find a shoe shop and buy a cheap pair of trainers or flip-flops, or alternatively bring my trainers. I normally wear trainers to work and then change into my work boots, so she could wear them home. The problem was that my shift didn't end for another couple of hours after she finished work. I asked my boss if I could leave to help my wife, but he refused as there is a lot of work to do. I asked Charlotte if she'd be willing to wait at the office for me, but she said she didn't want to. When I got home, I found Charlotte curled up sobbing. She said she forced herself to get home in heels and that her feet were in pain. She's upset with me because she thinks I should have insisted on leaving so I could help her. Seeing how upset she was, I tried to hug her, but she wanted me to go away. I genuinely feel awful about her being in so much pain. I'm almost in tears about it myself, but there wasn't much I could have done. I couldn't exactly tell my boss I was leaving whether he liked it or not. I offered her to wait for me to finish, but she refused. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. As a heel wearer, you always have a backup pair of shoes at work. How ridiculous. She's a hotshot lawyer. Shouldn't these problem-solving skills be her jam? I understand she's pregnant and hormonal, etc., but my blood boils after reading this post. She is asking her working husband to get her shoes so she can go home? What happened to being a strong, independent woman? Edited to add, not the a-hole. I am a woman who has been pregnant and also have been in sticky situation where I had to put on my big girl pants and solve things without my husband's help. I've heard of some people, who probably have money to burn, who Uber or Uber Eats frivolous items like beauty blenders. So, just an expensive hack for anyone who's in a pinch. Not the a-hole. Your wife is an adult. She should have realized by now that she can't wear the heels all the time. I'm not pregnant, and in the before times, I carried a pair of trainers to change into after office hours. I'm not even sure how your wife is planning to handle the day that heels have so damaged her feet and ankles she can't wear them at all. As a retired professional female office worker who had no idea what I'd be doing in the course of a day, what I kept at my office: heels, steel toe boots, tennis shoes, trainers, house shoes, rain boots for rain/mud, flats, casual and dress, extra pantyhose, stockings, and lots of extra socks, also changes of clothing. I agree with above poster. She may be pregnant, but she was a grown woman first and should know to be prepared. Clearest not the a-hole of the week. You told her to carry spare shoes. You try to get off of work. She may be hormonal, but that's no excuse to be an a-hole. Am I the a-hole for expecting my ex-girlfriend to move out after she broke up with me, even though she has nowhere else to go? I, 27 male, have been with my girlfriend Megan, 26 female, for 4 years, and we've lived together for 2 of them. We live in a house I inherited from my grandmother. Megan quit her job a while ago to pursue her master's degree full-time, since her bachelor's wasn't opening any doors. I've been supporting her financially and emotionally while she's been in school. To be clear, I never resented that. I wanted to support her goals and was proud she was pushing forward in life. Her program is intense, and she's even taking summer courses.
I work full-time and also take care of the house, which means some things slip through the cracks. I cook, clean, and try to keep things in decent shape. It's not perfect, but I genuinely don't think it's bad. I'd comfortably have friends over without worrying about the place looking or smelling off. I'm not an amazing chef, but I know my way around the kitchen. Though yeah, they're mostly basic dinners. The past couple of months have been hard. Megan's stress levels have been through the roof, and tensions between us have grown. She's been unhappy with how I clean or cook, saying I don't meet her standards. I get that she's overwhelmed, but I felt like nothing I did was ever enough. I still tried to be patient and supportive, but things hit a boiling point and we had a big argument. Megan broke up with me. It hurt, but I honestly think it was for the best. We were clearly not making each other happy anymore, so what was the point? Here's the problem. Now that we're no longer together, I think it's fair for her to move out. She doesn't agree. She says she has nowhere else to go, and that if she's forced to leave, she'll have to drop out of her program. Her mom and stepdad live the RV life, and she doesn't have friends who can take her in. She did receive a decent amount of money from her own grandmother when she passed, but she used most of it to cover her tuition. I know she wasn't blowing it. It really did go to school, but now she's tapped out and stuck. I get that this situation sucks, and I don't want to see her crash and burn, but I also don't feel like I should have to keep living with someone who broke up with me. I've already given her 45 days to figure something out, even though, legally, I'm only required to give her 30. She's now trying to say she wants to work things out, but to me, it feels more like panic and desperation than a genuine desire to fix the relationship. I don't hate her, but I don't think it's healthy for either of us to keep living together in this limbo. So, am I the a-hole for expecting her to move out after she broke up with me? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. She doesn't agree. Tough. Expecting her ex-boyfriend to continue supporting her is wild. You gave her 45 days. That was generous enough. If she doesn't leave by then, file for eviction. The ex-boyfriend who paid for everything who she broke up with because he didn't cook and clean for her well enough? The audacity of this weirdo. In his house. Not hers, not theirs, not a rental. His house he owns. What a dumbass. Not the a-hole. She ended the relationship. That comes with consequences like moving out of your house. Compassion is one thing, but you're not obligated to provide free housing to an ex who chose to walk away. 45 days is more than generous. Sorry for the hijack, but I just wanted to add a PSA. This post is proof, just in case anybody had doubts, that even someone dumb as dog spit can get a master's degree. She lives in a place where she had someone that willingly played the role of bang butler for her, and at no time whatsoever did it occur to her that maybe she should thank OP or her lucky stars. Whatever career she ends up in, I'm really hoping it isn't one that requires good judgment or an iota of common sense. Not the a-hole OP. There are people out here who would kill for a partner that gives as much support as you did. I hope you find your person. She's been unhappy with how I clean or cook, saying I don't meet her standards. The gall of someone to exist because of someone else's charity, and then complain about how they give it. You're not the a-hole, but she's an enormous one, and you're good to be rid of her. Kick her out after 30 days, like the law requires. She probably should have thought of this before breaking up with her meal ticket. Oh, this. She broke up with OP because she wasn't satisfied with his service. Wonder if she ever did any work around the house or contributed at all. She did prior to entering the program, but we have different standards or definitions of what's clean or what's good. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling a friend that a tattoo on her chest saying "Forever Brian's" is a deal breaker for most men, even though Brian has since passed away? I've got a friend named Ula that is relatively new, as I've only known her for 4 years. She has a tattoo on her chest just below her collarbone that says, "Forever Brian's." She got it when she was quite young, early 20s, about 15 years ago, when she was engaged to her first love, who unfortunately passed away due to cancer, is my understanding. I don't know the history beyond that it happened quite quickly, and she got the tattoo after he passed away. I've been watching her date for about 4 years now, and the tattoo has consistently been a sticking point for the 3 to 4 or so guys that I've seen her with. Each one has said it differently, but they've all said that they'd like her to get it removed, or that it makes them uncomfortable enough to leave the relationship when it got serious. Last night, Ula and my wife were having a girls' night together, and I was downstairs enjoying some Baldur's Gate 3, when they both came down and asked for a guy's opinion and harassed me until I put the controller down. I warned them repeatedly that if they asked me for a guy's opinion, that I would provide one, but it might be hurtful. So, I asked the ladies if they remembered the movie Titanic. They both agreed. I asked them if they remembered what the core theme of the movie was. They both answered that it was a love story between Jack and Rose. So I told Ula, do you know who it wasn't a love story for? Rose's husband. Rose's husband married her, had children with her, stayed married to her for roughly 60 years and grew old together, overcame adversity, and successfully had a long life together. But Rose didn't think of her husband or those memories together when she died 60 years later. She thought of Jack. All of that living that Rose and her husband did together meant little, because in the end, when she passed away, she went to her first love, Jack. I looked at Ula and said, that tattoo is written confirmation that they're not your forever person, which is fine when you're casually dating, but what you're indirectly asking for when things start to get serious is if they're willing to sign up to be your Rose's husband. I agreed that Brian had passed away over a decade ago. I agreed it wasn't fair. I agreed that they were stupidly competing with a dead person. I agreed that removing it won't change how she felt about Brian. My bottom line was this was a one guy's opinion on the matter, which obviously all her previous boyfriends to some degree agreed with me on, as each one had raised it as a serious issue to them. I wasn't trying to start a huge argument, but that's basically what happened. So I tried a different approach and told her, look, not trying to start anything, but everyone wants to find their forever person. What you're doing is basically telling these guys you've already found yours and that's not changing. So they keep it casual for as long as they can. And when you try to get serious, they leave to protect themselves. Because no one wants to be a placeholder and it doesn't help how aggressively you defend it. Shortly after, she passed out on the couch, much to my relief. In hindsight, this should have been a conversation to have while sober. So, was I too harsh? Was I an a-hole? Even the next morning, she was slowly crying and committing to removing it, which I told her to talk it out with more than just friends, and maybe seek out a professional opinion before removing it. But I sure felt like a royal a-hole. It really felt like there was no winning here. Just a lot of hurt feelings and distant tragedy. Him being dead makes it even more of a deal breaker. Nobody wants to try and compete with the dead love of her life. You were spot on comparing this to Titanic. Yup, he's dead, so he's idealized. You're competing with her fantasy of what might have been. Yeah, not only has he passed, but he passed when Ula was so young she hadn't had a chance to really see him through adult eyes. I mean, chances were if he lived, they may not have lasted the test of time, but she's seeing him through rose-colored glasses. So if she compares new partners to him and is like, Brian wouldn't have done this to me, she probably doesn't actually know what Brian would have done because she hadn't had a chance to have real arguments with him. Or she could always just date guys named Brian? My grandmother actually married 2 different guys with the same name. It's doable, LOL. Had a friend once whose dad's name was Randall. Mom got remarried. He was also named Randall. All her kids had the middle name Randall. All 4 of them. It was super weird. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not telling my boyfriend about strippers at a bachelorette party? My boyfriend and I have been together for almost 4 years. We met in college, started dating our junior year, and are part of the same friend group. A couple friends of ours were supposed to get married last summer, but had to delay it to this year. We are both in the wedding party and were invited to the bachelor and bachelorette parties. During the planning for the bachelor party, my boyfriend told me that the best man wanted to go to a strip club, and the groom got the go-ahead from the bride. I am very uncomfortable with strip clubs, just always have been. I am not trying to shame sex workers in any way, but strip clubs just always grossed me out. I told my boyfriend this and told him I would feel much better if he didn't participate in that part of the bachelor party. I wasn't going to tell him he can't go to the party at all, just that when other people go to a strip club, that he finds something else to do. We kind of got into a fight about it because he was worried that he would be the only one not going to the club and would therefore be alone at a bar, or have to leave altogether if the rest of the party wanted to stay there for a long time. I understand that part, but I was pretty firm that I didn't want him to go to the club part of it, and he eventually relented. The parties were scheduled for the same weekend, and the bachelorette party got a hotel suite for the night. Well, it turns out that the maid of honor hired a couple of male strippers to come to the room for a private show. I wasn't really comfortable with it and tried to leave, but the rest of the girls pretty much made me stay. After the parties, I asked my boyfriend how the bachelor party went, and he pretty much just said it was fun and that he hung out at a bar with another couple guys while the rest went to a strip club for an hour or so. He asked how my party went, and I told him it was fun, but didn't mention the male strippers. I don't know why I didn't tell him, I just didn't. At the wedding reception a couple of weeks later, I was talking with some people and noticed my boyfriend talking with a group of people in the wedding party across the room, and they were all laughing except my boyfriend. I keep looking at them, and eventually my boyfriend looks at me and he's just staring daggers at me. Like, I have never seen him look at me like that before, and I felt really uncomfortable. He was really cold with me the rest of the night, and he ended up getting pretty drunk and passing out at the hotel as soon as we got there. On the car ride home the next day, he finally opened up and told me that one of the bridesmaids had told him about the strippers, and he was mad that I would tell him not to go to a strip club and then go and hang out with male strippers in a private hotel room show. He said that was way worse than any strip club, and that I was a huge a-hole and hypocrite for it. He said he feels like I'm hiding something because I didn't tell him about the strippers, and he doesn't believe me that nothing happened. Now for the top comments. You're the a-hole. How did the other girls make you stay? Why couldn't you go to the hotel bar? And why didn't you tell your boyfriend and explain the situation? Right? I seriously doubt the other girls tied her to a chair. You're the a-hole. How would you not be the a-hole here? You made a big stink about the idea of him going to the strip club, yet you participated in the exact same thing, and then lied about it too. Plus, I actually kind of agree that your situation is worse. Private room thing versus strip club itself. Objectively, you're a hypocrite. While it doesn't necessarily make you a bad person, yes, you're definitely the a-hole. I'd like to point out that the very thing he said was going to be really hard for him, everyone else doing it and wanting him to come along, is your exact logic for why you participated. Yup, he lost a lot of face to be true to her. She didn't reciprocate. You're the a-hole OP. She was assertive with him about not going to a strip club. I have a hard time imagining her being too timid to leave the hotel room. And it seems that he was the butt of the joke when it came out that there had been strippers with the women at the wedding too. I don't think there's anything to be ashamed of if someone says they're not comfortable going to a strip club, or if that's a boundary someone wants to assert. But it sounds like the friends at the wedding were having a laugh, and it was obvious that he wasn't in the know. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to acknowledge my best friend's wife? I, 24 male, have been having issues with my best friend's 23 male wife, 20 female, for months now. From the first day we met, she judged me. First, it was because I couldn't attend their wedding. I was working remotely in a different country at the time. I apologized profusely and ordered them a pizza oven as a wedding gift. There were little remarks that my girlfriend, 23 female, could hear in the background of our phone calls. She would write down what she heard from me since I'm deaf. My phone is capable of translating audio calls into text on my screen, but it can only pick up so much, and for the most part, I rely on context clues. It got more ridiculous when I returned to the States and finally met her. She didn't realize that I was deaf. She started yelling, for the record, we can tell, and ignored my girlfriend, who tried to explain that yelling is rude to do. It's much easier to read lips when you speak normally. Any other time when we would meet up, which I made sure wasn't often, she wouldn't look at me when speaking. She was relying on my girlfriend to translate, which my girlfriend shouldn't have to do. I'm capable of reading lips. Again, it's also rude to do, even if I had a certified translator with me. Last night at game night was the last straw for me. His wife offered to order dinner for all of us. When the driver dropped off the delivery, she didn't order anything for me. She apologized and said, "Well, I forgot he was here since he's so quiet." I've never been embarrassed to be deaf until that moment, which is saying a lot because I was born deaf. My girlfriend shared her dinner with me. I ignored his wife for the rest of the night, and we called it early. My girlfriend lied and told them she had an important meeting to prepare for. His wife, I think he asked her too, has been texting me with half-baked apologies that I have been ignoring. This caught the attention of my best friend, who texted me asking why I was being mean and ignoring her. He said she was sorry for what happened and that she wasn't lying about me being quiet. He told me that I shouldn't get so butthurt over a few comments. I've been ignoring him too. I don't think making fun of me or the deaf or hard of hearing community is funny. Am I the a-hole for acting sensitive to this and ignoring them both? I don't want to throw away our friendship, but I feel like it's for the best. My girlfriend is supportive of removing ourselves from them or of forgiving them and moving forward. That she was sorry for what happened. No, she wasn't. And even if she were, you are more important than she is. Take care of yourself first, not the a-hole. Telling a deaf person, "Oopsie, you don't get any food because you were so quiet," is one of the most obtuse, ignorant, and flat-out disrespectful things I've seen in quite a while. That is next-level a-holery. The friend downplaying it, calling OP mean for ignoring the crappy apologies of his a-hole wife, and calling OP butthurt warrants an instant end to this friendship in my book. Friend is as much of an a-hole as his terrible wife. I'd have told her, "Oh, you didn't notice me here? I might be deaf, but apparently you're blind." Just to be clear, that slight at forgetting to get you food because you're quiet was intentional. No way she forgets you, but remembers your girlfriend. My girlfriend said the same thing to me in the car. Tell your idiot friend because he doesn't seem to notice. Or not. Sometimes people can't see anything wrong with their partners. If he was going to realize his girlfriend is an a-hole, he'd have done it already. Drop that friendship fast as heck. His wife is ignorant and your friend is compliant. No way. Thank you. I'm starting to see that from some of these comments.